Yeah, but anyway, thanks for. It's good to finally get the opportunity to chat you up. You've been. Uh, how long have you been watching my channel?
I think it was like late 2024, around there.
Oh, so it's been a minute, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
started out
awesome.
watching your live streams, and then I found out you said in the live streams you put out a video every day. So then I just started clicking on your channel every day.
Yeah,
Because I didn't know you did a video every day. I just seen like a few here and there.
yeah, yeah. I never intended it to be a daily thing, but it just kind of. I just got kind of in that pattern, and now I don't want to. Now I just want to keep going, So here we are.
Yeah. Well, it's cool,
But
man. I look forward to them.
yeah, well, I appreciate it. Yeah, but one of the things I kind of got going on the channel was getting the opportunity to talk about indie creator books, and that's led to, me having a couple of conversations with several people, and that's what we're here to talk to you about. You have a
Yeah.
crowdfunder going. You've got your own book, and hoping to put some more eyes on that project for you to get it going for you.
Yeah. Get over that hump anyway.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So you are Mr. Sheldon Martin,
Yes.
and you've got a book called Occult Descent.
Yep.
Yep.
This
So,
is the second volume. I
yeah.
successfully launched the first one.
Yeah. So go ahead and, kind of tell us what it's about. Like, where did you kind of come up with the idea? What kind of started this for you?
What started it was mostly just I was at a convention with my friend in it was early 2016, and he sold some original art for like a 12-page comic that he had made, and it looked all professional and stuff. And then just from that, like some people seen his work, and they bought his original pages. He made like $600, and I was like, oh wow, that's awesome. 10 years ago, it's
Yeah.
I mean, even now it's still a pretty big chunk of change. So
Oh, yeah.
he was like, you should do that. And then I was like, okay, cool. And then when I was getting to 12 pages, I was like, I think I could go more. And yeah, that was basically it. I was just like, well, it would have to be a story that I'd be interested in. And vampires always seem cool. And kung fu fighting, stuff like that.
Heck yeah.
Then it led me into Occult Descent, which is this kid. He's like a mentally troubled kid. I should preface it with, it's in the world where like vampires live with humans, like they all know about each other, but they don't get along very well. The vampires aren't welcome, and so this kid, he's got these mental troubles. He's finds out he's haunted by ancient psychopathic mutant vampire. He's like a monster among the vampires, even folklore. And the kid who's being hunted by him, he turns to his friend Andy, who happens to be a police detective. And she can't quite help him just at the moment because he gets abducted by Sakal. But she joins the VACU, which is the law enforcement arm that deals with the vampire attacks. And also the normal vampires, they have a secret government of their own that devises a way to put an end to Sakal as well, because he's making things harder for them since they're already having trouble fitting in with society.
So the vampires and the humans, they all live together. Like it's not like it's a secret thing. It's known.
Yeah, no. Yep, it's known. There are some secret elements though of like vampires that they're not, like they got their own again, like military and government that's not out in the open. Like, as far as everyone knows, it's just like, oh, look at these vampires. They're trying to become part of us or something.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
and I think of those guys as like if you watch True Blood, like those are like the True Blood vampires, and then Sakal, he creates vampires, and they're more like the Dusk Till Dawn vampires, and
nice.
then the VAC is like Starship Troopers.
I like that. I like that. That's interesting. So you've got one book completed. You sent me a copy of that. And I showed it on the channel. And when were you working on that? You said 2016 is when you kind of got the idea that you should start doing this.
Yeah, yeah. That, and I was gonna do 12 pages, but it was also like when I was doing those pages later on that summer, I went to a convention. Well, I went to a big convention like every summer, and I would just use those pages. I would do like 4 or 5 a year and bring them to the convention. Sometimes I would do more, but anyway, I would get those critiqued because my original thing was like, okay, I'd make some money on the my project on the side, while I would hopefully break into I don't know, one of the bigger companies. So
Yeah,
it took a while to get it created. I mean, finished.
sure, sure. How many pages did that first book end up being? It was pretty sizable.
Yeah, it was 50, and then I added some extras on there.
Yeah, I mean a 50
For,
page like opening book. That's pretty big. That's awesome. I like that kind of stuff.
yeah, I did. At first, I stopped it at 26 pages, but I don't know. I was like not very happy with it, so I just kept going. Same thing with the when I stopped at 12 pages, wasn't happy with it, so I kept going, and then it got up to 50, and I figured, all right, this is like thick enough. I think I should try release it.
Yeah, I get
Yeah,
it. Where you just keep making pages and you keep crafting your story, and you're like, not quite there. This isn't the end yet. That's a good chunk of story. I like that.
yeah. It was like really nerve wracking too with doing that first Kickstarter. Well, I mean, doing this Kickstarter as well. So
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I'm going to be doing one, and I'm nervous to do it myself.
yeah, I mean, I mean, you got to go through it though, right?
Yeah, yeah. Nothing to do but just go through it and just do your best, right? So,
Yes.
where are you at on your Kickstarter for your current one that's going right now?
Um, just starting up page 48. I thought I'd be able to just keep going through the pages at my normal rate, but this Kickstarter, all the stuff just slowed me down. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, even though I did a Kickstarter before, it's like doing this one. I forgot or I don't know. I remembered that I forgot how hard it was.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
bet.
Also, like I've been doing these remarks. I don't know. Can you see that?
Yes. Yeah, I've seen you posting those. That's really awesome.
Yeah. So I've been doing these remarks as like I stole that idea from Mark Fulton. Every time that he would jump on a stream, they would do like a giveaway to one of their backers, the physical backers, so they didn't have to add shipping or anything, as kind of an enticement to get more backers. So anyway,
Right.
I'll do that at the end of this stream for this guy. It's a call right there.
Nice. So the current book you're working on is going to be 50 pages too?
No, this one is 72 pages.
Oh, so really big. Like that's like
Yeah,
almost graphic novel size. That's not just a single issue. That's like a big thick book.
yeah. I don't. Well, I had it at 60, but then um, Mark Fulton, he's my editor. I gave him my script for him to go over and look at it, and he suggested, because I had like 6 to 8 panels per page. He wanted me to spread them out a bit and get some like full splash pages in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. I don't know, what am I thinking? Just going like 6, 8 panels per page. I mean, because I was thinking too, like I don't typically read those kind of comics. Like I like the big bombastic kind too, for the most part.
Right. Yeah.
And then I'm making my comic, and I'm just like crushing it all together. I don't know.
I mean, I get it. I mean, if it's not something that you've done a lot, I kind of understand the idea of like you want to put a bunch of stories, much stories you can in, and it might seem counterintuitive to visually spread it out to give it some interest as far as the let the art shine.
Yeah,
It makes sense, and I think I would agree that that sounds like a good idea because comics are a visual medium first. We're there to look at it first, and
yeah,
take the time to do something fun and exciting. It makes sense to me, so that's awesome.
yeah. And that's, like I said, it was funny because those are the comics I gravitate towards. However, when I was making my comic, I was doing the opposite of that.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you get kind of tunnel visioned when you're creating, and you just don't see a thing until somebody stops you and points it out, and then it becomes really obvious. You're like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's why it's good to be able to show your stuff to somebody. Just share it, and you get feedback that you might not otherwise get. So it makes sense.
yeah, exactly. Even being aware of knowing that like you remember those videos about Rob Liefeld where you're saying like he has a sword in one panel, and sometimes even on the same page. Now all of a sudden he has a gun instead of a sword.
Yeah,
So that happened to me a few times on the same exact page too. Like there's a page I did a video of it of Sakal. Gets his arm chopped off. However, in like 4 panels later, he has his arm chopped off, but it's the wrong arm, and I didn't catch that till like right when I was inking it.
yeah. Is that something where
Uh,
you could have just taken the panel itself, isolated it, and just mirrored it and flipped it?
no, I tried to do that. I was thinking about that, and I was even thinking about it while I was still inking the thing.
Yeah,
But it would look too uh, like it would take the person out of the story for sure. It would just be too jarring.
yeah.
And then yeah, like you said, having other people look at it. I got a comment. Montoya. He
Mhm.
he suggests, he's like, yeah, you got to get somebody to look at these things at least, or maybe do a few pages of pencils. So when you come back to inks, you got like fresh eyes on it. I was like, oh man, that's a great idea. I don't know why I didn't think of that,
Yeah.
but
It's a
yeah,
learning process.
yeah, exactly. This whole thing, I'm sure if I was a
Yeah.
pro, I would have to have somebody else look at it too, and then they could correct me before I go any farther.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, guys like us that we make our own things, we're just kind of by ourselves doing our own thing after and around work and life and everything. So it's not like we are staring at comic pages as a full-time job all day, every day. So, our brains are
Yeah,
scattered everywhere as it is. So yeah, it's good to have this online kind of community to be able to share our stuff and get some feedback because it's definitely valuable.
yeah. I think I'm going to take advantage of that a little bit more.
Yeah. So this current book you're going to do is 72 pages. That's pretty big. How far where's your Kickstarter at? How much more time do you have on it? What's the status of that?
Oh, right now it says it's at 53%. The goal is 3,500 and goes till August 6th. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, last year I remember I had the goal at 2,500, made it a little bit past like 3,000, and that was like, and I still ended up having to pay like a little bit extra because the other costs I didn't think of, like the taxes at the end of the year, and the shipping.
Yeah.
So this time I bumped 3,500. I was like, all right, this should be able to cover everything.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, again, I've never done a crowdfunder, but I'm going to be, and I guess that's stuff that you have to. I wouldn't know, you know what I mean? I've got a couple of people that I know that have done it. I'm going to try and get all the information I can to, cover myself when that time comes. I can see how it could be kind of nerve wracking, like you were saying, it's kind of takes up your attention and your time. And how do we make that goal? How do we get it up there?
Yeah. And then sometimes you're checking your emails because you get a new email. It's like, oh, did someone back? And it's not that. But yeah, it's always in the back of your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and then there's
So,
the middle part that everyone talks about where you go back and check the Kickstarter and like it hasn't moved for like, a week.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I hear that usually you get kind of your first initial people who know you and are following you. It takes off and then it kind of flatlines, and then you're like, okay, how do we get eyes on it? How do we get people to see? Which is what we're here to do. We're here to get people to look at this. So, you say
Yes.
it's got 2 weeks to go, roughly speaking.
Yeah, it's about 2 weeks
2 weeks.
from
Okay.
now that we're recording this.
Right. What is today? Today's the 20th, 21st?
Uh, 21st, yeah.
21st, right. So obviously, I'll have a link attached to the video so people can just, if they, when they follow this, and we can just have that connect right to it. But hopefully, we can get some eyes on it for you. So it's a creator-owned work. It's a story about vampires, but it's your specific, unique take on that kind of genre. Um, have you been drawing since you were a kid? Is this is being a comic artist been like a goal for you for ever since you were younger?
Well, it was when I was younger. Well, I wanted to make cartoons when I was a little kid. Uh, that's where I got into drawing. But then that that X-Men cartoon came out in '92, and then that's when I found. I mean, I always knew comics were around, but then I noticed that the comics were X-Men also. I think it was Mark Silvestri. I seen his Wolverine on a cover or something, and like all the badassness from the X-Men cartoon Wolverine, like it was on, felt like it was on steroids in the comic because they could put a lot more detail in just one panel on a comic.
Yeah.
And so then I started getting into comics like big time. Um, I couldn't really complete any runs though. It was really tough to get get to the spinner rack and then have the same comic. Like I couldn't continue things. Um, and also, let's see. So then I got up to seventh grade, and I was doing a lot of drawing, but then I stopped drawing for about 7, 8-ish years because I'd never seen comic book pencils before until Wizard magazine came out, and then
Yep.
it was Ripclaw. It was, yeah. So it was like they have those things where you could like send in, you get a chance to win. Sometimes they'll give you like a comic one half, or this one
Yep.
happened to be a sketch of it was either David Finch or Mark Silvestri, but I'm pretty sure it was David Finch. He did Ripclaw, and also in that same magazine, I seen Capullo drew the shoestring head of Spawn,
Right.
and yeah. So I first I seen those pencils, and I was like, holy shit! Like this looks amazing. Like how could a person did that? And
Right.
so I like just give up drawing for like 7 or 8 years. I was like, I can't. I'm nowhere near that because I'm
Yeah.
used to seeing the black and white pages. So
Yeah.
and then so I got back into drawing like a little bit. I tried to break into a Tokyo Pop had a comic contest. I tried to break into that unsuccessfully. So I kind of stopped drawing again until 2012, and then that's when I started taking it serious. I was like, all right, I'm gonna break into comics for my full time
Nice.
job.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I totally can identify with that when you finally back, especially back in the day, for those of us who were interested in comics and making them and drawing them, when you'd get the opportunity to see what like just the penciled artwork looked like. It's an entirely different thing than the full colored stuff or even the black and white ink stuff. That penciled stuff to me was like, how can anybody draw like this? It seemed impossible. And then I'd look at my
Yeah,
crappy art that I do, and I'm like, ugh, I don't get it. I don't. And then knowledge was hard to come by. What kind of paper did they use? What kind of pencils? What size? I didn't know. So,
yeah,
information wasn't as easy to come by as it is now.
yeah, exactly. And then I think like everybody at first thought ballpoint pens could work for inking. I mean, they
Yeah,
can, but
I
nobody
did.
was using them.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. You have no idea what to use. So, yeah, I can identify with that. And I've heard a lot of people talk about how like they kind of gave up the art for a stretch and then have come back to it, kind of like you were saying. Um, I was never one of those guys that ever wanted to give it up. I just kept trudging along myself. I don't know. I feel like I never really improved. I mean, I was always drawing, but compared to the stuff that I could see, that was like what inspired me. And then I look at what I'm doing. I'm like, what's the magical formula that these great artists have, especially guys like Joe Mad, who is so good at so young? I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm missing something. I'm missing some magical factor. I don't get it, but we just keep going along and
Yeah,
just keep making our stuff.
yeah, and now it feels like I turn on Instagram and I find a new artist and they're like some teenager, and like it's their art is unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
It's crazy how many amazing artists are out there. It can be overwhelming. It can be discouraging if you kind of take it the wrong way, to see how many people are so much better than I am. But I'm like, well,
yeah,
I'll just keep going and maybe I'll get better and maybe I can make something that somebody will respond to. I get it. I think we all kind of feel that as indie guys just trying to make our own stuff.
yeah. I mean, but now though, it's like, well, I mean, that's like I learned from the past. It's like, okay, well, I still have to make this comic. I got to make these stories, or like nobody else is gonna make them. So
Yeah.
that's what's like driving me along now.
Yeah. That's something I talk about. I know you probably heard me talk where there's people who always say that they're going to do the thing, but then they never do the thing. Like, I have all these
Yeah,
characters and all these stories, and I'm going to make this giant world. And we're like, how many pages have you drawn? I'm like, I'm on page one. How long you been working on page one? For the last 2 years. I'm like, mm-hmm. But here you are, for example, you've made a book and you've started and you've told a story and you've brought it into reality. And like all of us, we look at it and we go back and we're like, we're all kind of like embarrassed by our older work, but still just having made the
yeah,
project, it's in hand and you can show somebody. You can be like, I made the story. And like I always say, I think we always feel better, even if it's not as good as we had it in our head, to just have created it. And there it is. And I'm continuing. I'm making more. You're a maker. You're one of the guys who are making the book. And that's something that I personally hold in kind of the highest respect for any of us indie guys, is someone who's making the work and not just doing like pinups to put on Instagram. Like, you are telling stories and sequential art and giving us something we can read and continuing. That's the stuff I'm interested in. Even with all those amazing artists that we find on Instagram who just do great pinups and single shots, I'm interested in the guys who tell stories. That's what I want. And that's what you're doing. And that's what I gravitate towards.
yeah, yeah. And then also that's the process as well. Like with the storytelling process. I don't know. Did you ever get your work like critiqued at a our portfolio looked at or anything by like pros at
Not
conventions?
in person, because I don't have any conventions to go to except the local one that only started here where I live in the last couple of years. And I've never dragged my art to something like that. I did mail in some horrible Cyberforce pages back in the like 93, and I never did hear back from them. They were doing a contest. And then I sent some Youngblood pages in, and I think I got a form letter where it was just like, thanks for your interest. Unfortunately, your work does not match the quality we're looking for. Of course, I was like 17 years old. Um, but I've never been in
Yeah,
front of a person like a professional and put my stuff down in front of them. I've never been through that. Have you?
yeah. That's like every year I would work on whatever they told me to work on, and then I would go back and get my portfolio reviewed. Sometimes by the same people, but I didn't always go to the same convention. Like I jumped around from like Chicago, New York, to Denver, back to Chicago, like any of the big ones I could get to. But they would anyway. That's where I started learning about the comic book storytelling. You know, the flow through the page and stuff. You're supposed to like just make it as easily guide the reader's eye as easily as possible. And it was like, you know, you could only see these guys for like once a year, and then you write down as much stuff as you can and try to learn all that, and then you come back and next year it's like just so it's like day one, day two, but it was like years later, and it was like a slow process for me to learn that like people would and then one guy, like I followed the wrong advice. He told me to always have something touching the middle of each panel, like the direct center. So I was like, okay. And then I brought my stuff for like 2 years later. I'd go to other pros, and they would be like, you were drawing too much attention to the center of every single panel. Like you need to Brian Polito said you need to like jack up the eye. You know, put the point of interest, the main point of interest, in different parts of panels. So like people aren't uh, you know, getting too used to the pattern of like looking at the center of each panel um, when you're guiding the eye through the page anyway. And yeah, so it was like a lot of trial and error with just the storytelling alone before. I mean, not before. At first, my critiques were always anatomy, like anatomy. Like for the first 4 years,
Yeah.
I felt like. I mean, I still probably get critiques about anatomy if I showed my work to pros. I don't know. I'll be working on that probably forever.
Yeah, we all are. We're all working on anatomy for sure. I've seen because I got to look at your first book, and looking at especially the first half of your book compared to the end of the first book, but also the stuff that you've been posting up currently, I see a massive improvement in what you do. I see it just from looking at the time frame that you've talked about, like how long ago you were working on book one and where you're at now. I see a big improvement. Like it seems extremely obvious to me. It's right there on the page. So, and also like, I've learned that anatomy is not like the end all be all of what needs to be there to make a comic book. Like, I think an artist just needs to have like it close enough. But if the story's interesting and your storytelling is interesting, it can work, even if anatomy is, it's not the primary thing that needs to be there. I think most of us understand that.
Yeah. At some point, that's when I really started taking off on my comic. Was like, just seeing like other, especially like comic creators, as long as their anatomy isn't exactly correct, but like it's consistent with how they do anatomy. So I was like, well, man, I should just keep going. Anyway, that pushed me on through the pages of to get my first comic book done.
Yeah. Yeah. I know some artists that get like tunnel vision with like perfection. Like it's got to be
Yeah.
perfect. And then like keep redoing the same panel or the same page or the same book over and over and over. And you're like, yeah, maybe you're getting better, but you have to at some point move on and just keep going. It's never going to be perfect. So just tell your story. That's what I tell some
Yeah.
people. I mentioned that, like, don't worry, don't get tunnel visioned with perfection paralysis. Like, it'll never be perfect, but just make it and then keep going. You'll get better. And I think that's the only way a person can
Yeah.
really go about it.
I got stuck there like multiple times.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
get it.
yeah, that's why I always like it when you give your speech, especially when there's like someone new in the chat, and then you go through it. It's like yeah. It's like I get pumped up again. Like I gotta get back on these pages.
Yeah, I didn't intend to, like, I know what you're talking about. Some people are like, oh, Rob, give this new person the speech. I'm like, I didn't intend for it to become that. It just become my thought that ended up happening on repeat because a lot of people through my live streams would ask the same thing. And it just boils down to just make the thing, just make your book. You'll be
Yeah,
happier that you did it. Um, and you'll get better as you go, and you'll be far ahead of the people who keep talking about what they're going to do but never do, and yet here you are. It's better to have a book in hand that is not perfect rather than the genius idea in the other hand of the guy it's just in their head. They never actually wheel it into reality. I'll take the one that I can actually read over the idea that this guy keeps talking about, never actually makes. So that's what we say. Keep making
yeah,
your comics, right? Produce the thing. Just make it. It's just so much better.
yeah. And not only that, like I don't know if you're the same way, but like I like going back to and finding these like artists that I really like and go and find their earlier works or their first works, and then just seeing how they developed over the years. Like that's
Yeah.
really interesting to me. So I was like, well, why am I afraid to show my new work or my old
Right.
work? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Most professional
Yeah.
artists, I think, they always can look back at their old stuff and they're just like, oh my God, I was horrible. But you know what? To us, we're like, I think it looks fine, So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's more in reinforcing the thought of like just put your stuff out there, start making the pages one at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. It's the best thing. So, I don't know. Is there anything else you wanted to mention or bring up or anything else on your mind before we wrap up?
Let's see. Talked about. No, I mean that's basically it. If anybody that's watching this is interested in horror, action, uh, slight comedy, a little bit of nudity, then this
Hey, you
comic.
got my
Oh,
attention.
vampire. Yeah, that this
Yeah.
comic is free.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I'll have the
and
links
there,
for the I'll have the links for the Kickstarter and your social media, your Instagram at least for sure, and whatever else you might have that you want me to put in there. And I'll have that in the video, and people can find you. And hopefully, we can put some eyes on this. And for anybody who watches, even if you've already seen it and maybe you've already backed it, like, tell people, share it, put the word out there. Let's help him get his crowdfunder kind of over the final hump in the last 2 weeks that he's got going for it. Let's get this thing, in the can for him and support an indie creator. Let's make all our dreams come true as best we can. If we all kind of support each other, we can all kind of make these things happen.
yeah, just I don't know, each a helping hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, at least check out the page. I would appreciate that. And there will be a catch up tier. Also, I just remembered. I remember I forgot on one stream, but the random number generator for the um, for whoever wins the remark. I got to. So it's nothing fancy. I don't have a wheel to spin or anything. It's just I went to randomnumbergenerator.com or randomnumbergenerator.htm, whatever. So it was a 26. Also, 5 other people won, so I got to make sure that it's not their number that got called. All right, back to 26. If I know this person, I'll be able to say out their name. Oh, cool. It's Joe Sontag. I don't know. Are you familiar with him?
The name's very familiar. I think so.
Yeah, he's a indie comic book creator as well. In
Okay.
fact, this is his shirt right here.
Nice.
Covered it. Yeah, I didn't
That's
plan
awesome.
that. It's a random number generator. Yeah, I'm a big fan of his comic. I got his hat and I got a hoodie over here too. John Malin did this cover. This isn't Joe's artwork, by the way. But
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, so
awesome.
that was an unexpected plug for Joe's work, and he won a remark. So anyway, but yeah, that's all I got.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a great way to do that. All right. Well, I guess in that case, we'll just wrap up, and then I'll get this video up as soon as I can, and hopefully we can get some eyes on your work and just go from there.
Yeah, sounds good. And I really appreciate having me on the show too. I mean, this is awesome. Not everybody does that. Some people don't even respond when I ask them about it. So
yeah,
I really appreciate it.
You've been a big supporter of mine, and you've been part of the channel for a while, and I've got a little bit of an audience through my channel here. And like I've said, I mean, why not use this opportunity to show off anybody else's stuff when we can? Like, why not spread the word? Like, it's the least I can do. It doesn't cost me anything except a few minutes to talk with someone who I'm interested to talk to anyway. So, I'm glad to help. Hopefully it makes some difference. Who knows? But hopefully it'll, help out a little bit.
Yeah. And regardless, I know other people will see this and I'll get more eyes on it anyway. So yeah. Again, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, man. And that's it for now. And we'll catch up with everyone later. So